This video is sponsored by Rize. So this is Heptabase. It's a visual note-taking app that is rapidly getting the attention of the internet. It combines some of the features of modern note apps and whiteboard apps. It reminds me of Ryan Holiday and Robert Greene's writing method, but digital. If you're someone who likes to organize information visually by moving cards and drawing lines, making mind maps or flowchart, you might want to try this out. There are lots of things I like about Heptabase. First one is that it already has a Rize integration. If you read a lot, you probably have many highlights. Rize can centralize all your highlights from different books and articles and export them to your favorite note app. Most new products tend to lack this integration, but Heptabase has it already, which means you can populate your knowledge base with your highlights right away. Plus, it lets you import your notes from other apps. Most note apps let you export your notes in Markdown, so you can do that and import them into Heptabase. They have a dedicated import option from Obsidian, so you can start from where you left off. How it organizes the reading highlight is nice too. You can see them all from the highlight tab, where you can search for keywords. I have thousands of highlights, but it's surprising how smooth and quick the loading is. Plus, you can attach a note to each highlight, which is great for remembering the context. When you are creating a mind map or writing up a document, you can open the sidebar where you can search for highlights. Now, you can just keep on writing while looking at the highlights for reference, but also you can drag and drop them to the whiteboard to organize them freely. So this is actually the second thing I like, the ability to put as many notes as you want on a whiteboard and then organize cards freely. To get the most out of Heptabase, you want to create a new whiteboard for every topic you're learning or for every project you are working on. Then use the sidebar to search for materials you can use for that topic. This could be a note you made before or highlights from books or PDF documents you uploaded. As you search, you just need to drag and drop them to your canvas to collect the resources. And now what you can do is to move the cards around or draw lines to connect them, which makes it easier to understand how they are related. But if it's too cluttered, you could group them together by selecting multiple cards and clicking on Create Section. I find this really helpful as most visual note-taking apps can be too messy at times. What's more, you can edit the arrows to make them more meaningful. It's possible to change the color of the arrows and even the shape and thickness. But if you want to describe the relationship between the cards more explicitly, you can add labels. As you repeat this, you'll be able to build up a pretty neat map of the information you have. But if you want to have more proper structures, you could use a table view or a board view. They will definitely come in handy for organizing certain types of information or managing projects. I also don't want to forget to mention how smooth and intuitive the user interface is. There are keyboard shortcuts for almost everything, so you can navigate the app super fast. If you remember all the shortcuts, you should be able to move around, gather information, and write much faster than using a mouse or touchpad. It's a small detail, but something that can save you hours every week. Also, this simple and intuitive design makes it easier to focus. By the way, if you want help improving your focus, you should check out Rize. It's my favorite time tracking tool to use whenever I work or study. At the beginning of a working session, I start a focus timer and then get to work. You can see how long you have been working and how much time you left off on this little floating bar. And then if you get distracted, it will give you a nudge to get back to work, which actually helps a lot. I also love that it offers a wide range of focus music, such as lo-fi and binaural beats. You don't have to open Spotify or YouTube for it. This combination of focus timer and focus music is perfect for getting into the zone and staying there. Once you're finished for the day, you can have a look at the daily report and see how productive you were. Since Rize automatically tracks and categorizes your work activity in real time, you don't have to manually enter anything. You can focus on analyzing your data instead. This really helps you understand how you get distracted and what you can do to improve. After a few days of using Rize, it understands how you work and what you do, so it'll be able to notify you exactly when you should take a break based on your activity so you can avoid burnout. Rize is available for Windows and Mac, so give it a try if you're looking for a way to keep your focus and build better work habits. You can download it from the link in the description or from the QR code on the screen. Now, another cool thing about Heptabase is that you don't have to put everything on a whiteboard. Sometimes you come up with a random idea you want to remember, but not sure where to put it or what it is for. In that case, you can use that daily journal to jot it down. Daily journal is now one of the essential features of most note apps, but many visual note apps don't have it, which was my biggest frustration. So having a place where you can write anything regardless of its purpose is really helpful. Then when the time comes to use the idea, you can open the daily journal on the sidebar, search for it, and then create a new card to use it in the whiteboard. Actually, this ability to turn a block of a note into a new card is another key feature of Heptabase. One of the most effective ways to manage your personal knowledge is to create atomic notes. Atomic notes are notes that have no more than one idea in them, which makes it easy to memorize them or use them for writing. In order to make atomic notes, you typically need to break down a big note into smaller blocks, so this feature is perfect for that. When you have a long note or highlight, you can start by identifying important concepts and then break them down into atomic notes. Now you can reuse them in any other whiteboard, and then if you look inside one of the cards, you can see where exactly it was used. If you want to learn the idea of atomic notes, I highly recommend reading some of the articles about it, as well as Heptabase's tutorial pages. Heptabase is also cloud-based, which means you can access your notes from any device. It is, in fact, available on every platform. I think it's important that you can access your notes and write things or retrieve information quickly, so having these options is a big plus. Alright, so Heptabase definitely feels like a top-notch tool, but there are some cons. For instance, it's not great at managing your tasks. You can create to-do items in your notes, but you can't add a deadline, priority, or anything. So if you want to use it for that, you might need a separate to-do app. Also, more and more note apps are adding an AI feature that helps you write faster. Notion, for example, have a lot of AI writing options that are really good, but Heptabase doesn't have that yet. The only thing they have for now is this AI assistant, which is kind of like a AI-powered search function. So you can ask anything about information you have in your knowledge base, and it will help you find it. It is actually kind of useful because I think it uses semantic search, meaning it will fetch information that doesn't necessarily match the keywords you entered, but it's semantically similar. It's kind of cool because you don't see this type of AI used in most note apps. Plus, you can always use an AI writing browser extension if you need help writing faster. Finally, this is completely subjective, but sometimes I feel lost whenever I'm using a visual note app like this. On a whiteboard, I tend to forget where I put things and find it too messy. I'm also not a huge fan of having to zoom in and zoom out to see things, so I usually prefer a typical simple note app where you can organize things with bullet points or something like that. Maybe just because I'm used to it, but it really depends on your preferences. Alright, so this year I've seen many amazing note apps come out, but Heptabase is definitely one of the most impressive. The way it combines a visual and a text-based note app is really cool. Also, I love the core concept behind it. You should read their vision because it helps you learn how to learn better and more effectively, as well as why this app is designed the way it is. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!